locked into his playstyle, but it's been really nice. He's gonna have a tall test again. Ucal has been insane for TT. He has not only just been a very flexible mid laner, he is hard carrying on the likes of like the Tristanas, going melee mids, looking for these kind of innovative picks as well himself. Classic picks for Ucal. We'll see this early priority, at least for Beichuan, on the Sejuani. So a little bit of facilitation, some early game say on the map, but it is the EDG lock-in of the Elise that sets FoFo for Jiejie.
It's been very popular for tonight. 3 games in a row, Mazel, but we haven't seen this combo doing too hot in that first series. But hopefully in the hands of Jiejie and FoFo, they are able to play towards those early game strengths. As TT now know that this is going to be perhaps a Tristana mid. We don't see too many Tristana ADCs. So what is Ucal going to respond with, as he has that Cassio available in his pockets? Since the Sejuani has been locked in, they perhaps need to look for the AP mid laners to make up for that lack of magic damage.
That is something that we have not seen let off in the bans, at least thus far, and it is the Jax and the Veigar double lock-in for TT. So love some late game insurance for Ucal, but also some split lane and priority for Hoya.
I like this Veigar pick. I feel like Veigar isn't getting picked enough in the LPL, as he just has so much crowd control when it does come to these major objective fights. Paired alongside the Sejuani, there isn't going to be too much damage, but as long as Ucal is able to get those stacks online, I mean, ADC who you just press the outplay button, but the Kennen is going to get locked in for the side of Ala. We were talking about this before the game. He is loving the current meta and how Kennen is blindable into every champion, but now in this case into a Jax, where I see this Kennen taking over the game.
But this is something that TT definitely thought about, I guess, or I would hope they would think about going to this, because typically Kennen is very good in the Jax, and I'm really interested what they're going to try to do to upend that to some extent, and especially Ala getting one of his classic champions, and that really gets those setups for the likes of Jiejie on this Elise to really get something going. So phase 2 bans, particularly interested what TT are going to be focusing down here, but it is that Lucian ban from EDG. It's actually the Thresh from TT.
Interesting. Meiko has not played a single Thresh game so far, so it must have been some details from the scrims out of EDG, but Huanfeng for this game 1 really needs to make up for the lack of damage that TT has locked in for their top side already, so I'm expecting a hyper carry, but EDG has picked onto this, and they are going to ban up most of the carries that Huanfeng is most comfortable on. That is a lie, because they think this is going to be a Veigar ADC, which we've also seen in the LCS.
That would be a nice little bit of flexibility for TT, because you would actually be able to hamper some of the wants, I guess, for EDG. But I do like that renewed focus for EDG to try to get some of that away. Obviously, a very big comfort pick has been the Yone, has been the Tristana for Ucal. They take on a ban away the Yone. Now it is the Cho'Gath ban by TT.
Wow, they're expecting a Cho'Gath center bot laner or something. TT is cooking up something. But it is going to be the Aphelios lock-in for Leave, as he is going to perhaps look for the Nautilus as that last support counter pick. But of course, TT needs to bind their support in this phase. Right now, I think it's just going to be something like the Zeri Lulu lock-in, unfortunately, and responded with the Nautilus. But EDG having a lot of engaged opportunities for this early skirmish, is looking very aggressive so far.
And that's exactly what I love to see. And guess what's been left up on the table? It is the lovers duo. Xayah Rakan still here, and TT scooped that one up real quick.
It is going to be the Renata hover. I do like the Xayah. The Xayah, however, really play forward though. But TT's composition, you have so much zoning. If EDG mispositions once without that flash, I mean, I'm looking at Leave. He has locked in the Aphelios for this game 1. Man's dead in like the matter of seconds, because he has just so much follow-up CC plus engage from the Sejuani and also Rakan. Even Veigar, where it is going to be really tough, but they are going to lock in the Renata, hopefully with the bailout to kill everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think we've seen some really impressive hostile takeovers, and especially I'm very excited to see what Meiko can do with it here, because you can utilize that as a lot of distraction for Ala. And I think the biggest pieces of the puzzle are going to be back to Ala, Jiejie, and FoFo. This trio really finding something. Leave will be available and something to think about a little bit later on. But I'm really interested how they use these pieces in the team fights, because we saw what happened when an Elise did not get resources in last series. Now this is a step up. This is Jiejie's Elise. This is something where they can find a way to play around. They can be securing our 2nd seed in the LPL playoffs. TT, while they're just vying for a little bit of positioning, can play spoiler with just 1 win. Some aggression from EDG's side will help them get this game 1 under tow, as it's versus EDG.
Huanfeng 加油!
Gotta love it. Oh my god, it's so cool! Oh wait, can we just keep that one up, please? Oh,
keep it in the bottom corner.
Just leave it there. I really, one day I'm gonna get my hands on an LED sign. One day. We saw a little bit of vision game here placed down by TT needed against Jiejie on the Elise, who's gonna be looking for a very proactive early start of the game. EDG probably looking for a little bit of their own vision. I think this is super important to see where the starts are going to be for both sides. Looks like Jiejie should be fine starting on this top side of the map. And it actually looks like we have double 100 games in the LPL for TT happening with this game right now. Ucal and Beichuan.
That is an adorable achievement to make together. And hopefully they get to win their 100th game in the LPL, because this composition is looking relatively traditional because you have a lot of engage and also disengage, to be fair. But my eyes are definitely on this top lane, the Kennen vs Jax matchup, where we see Ala taking the Aerie, so he's gonna just take short trades with the autos. And Jiejie can honestly just walk towards that top lane and make Hoya have a very bad experience for this game 1.
Yeah, I could expect a very quick wraparound from Jiejie up towards this top side. We'll see some vision actually put down from Hoya, but this matchup is not going to go good until late, even for Hoya. And even then, it's about what you can do in the side lane, maybe even get some influence about man-marking Ala, because that is the big focus right now for EDG, how they come together in those team fights around those objectives especially. But it is maybe even that wraparound gank like we were talking about for Jiejie, focusing this top side of the map.
It's a ward. Spots out Jiejie most likely as he is walking towards there and gets sweeped out. But if this Jax is too blind, I mean, it's going to be really tough.
So path towards top for Beichuan. They're going to meet.
They are going to meet, and the wards, once again, Jax is pushed on the tower, though he can't rotate, and I don't think Sejuani wins the 1v1.
And there's movement from FoFo possible. All right, Beichuan actually just going for the momentum onto FoFo. They want to try to wrap around Ucal, trying to bait out as much as possible. FoFo didn't expect it, but he did have the rocket jump, and that's beautifully done.
Really good buffer from FoFo, and now Jiejie also sitting on 2 buffs.
Oh, that feels so bad.
Catch him out, coming back into his own jungle? What is Jiejie doing?
No, there's no way that Beichuan knows that, or that comes back into this. He knows that this is gone. He's gonna try to contest a little bit here. And that should just be 3 quadrants clear for Jiejie, unless I guess it's Beichuan can get across quickly, but the Scuttle Crab should be that focus for him.
So we see Sejuani making towards this bottom side. Is she gonna get blue? Because we have a lot of push from the bottom lane of EDG. He won't get the blue buff, so he's just gonna get triple buffed by Jiejie in this game 1, which is gonna hurt Beichuan so much in terms of experience. Meiko!
A little bit of vision. A little bit of vision.
Check out the blue. There's gonna be a ward, so can't take the blue, take a ward instead.
Take what you can get there, but a little bit of division, at least movement from EDG, dissuading any type of invade there. We'll see the quick walk across the map here from Jiejie. So he's just looking for a full clear at this point to finish up and get a nice back with a lot of gold.
Yeah, Mazel, we need to also notice that Hoya has been so poked out of lane. He's forced to burn the TP back to top lane, only coming back with a refillable pot and boots. So Ala showing a lot of X this matchup.
Oh, not enough to get the roots there. Not enough feathers on the ground. Ala getting aggressed on now with Hoya wanting to go for a counter-strike combo. Does get a decent amount of damage back with the poke on the backside where you got to worry about it. Actually, interesting. Jiejie went for a bit of aggression onto Beichuan, but actually now turning back to get that full clear of his side.
Relatively quiet, but not so quiet early game. I mean, there's a lot of action happening, but no one's dying, right? Yeah, that's exactly how you would describe it as Jiejie is just trying to clear out all the wards that is in his bottom side, but I feel like Jiejie, he's gonna just burn some flashes towards the bottom side of TT. Xayah doesn't have that cleanse and he's still very squishy, so perhaps that could be an angle as you do want your ADCs to be extremely ahead.
Oh my god, Ala just gets such heavy trades into Hoya here. Doesn't have anything to help him here. Nobody's coming to help you, Hoya.
Oh my lord.
It's just a couple more trades, and this is what we feared of. And I understand the pick was on the table, and you know it never gets left up, so you want to grab it. But Ala was ready for this.
This is why you don't blind the Jax into Ala. He has the Kennen available. He has the Vladimir.
Literally one of our best Kennen.
Yeah, this wave is going to get frozen for however long until Beichuan decides to bail Hoya out, as he's just gonna go even further down in CS, forced by that null magic mantle as well. It's looking really tough. There's a slight gold lead already, and it's in the hands of the Kennen.
And the most terrifying thing is when you watched highlight reels of LNG last year in both their runs, their miracle run in spring, but their attempted run in the summer before that, or their attempted run in summer of last year, it was so many times Ala finding flanks, finding big highlight moments, and shutting down teams in 5v5s. In fact, he's got a little bit of a lead now with control on the top side. I want to see how they utilize this, and with that, all that focus can go towards mid, towards bot for EDG, and it leads to the first dragon for them.
Yeah, Jiejie picks up the first dragon, and I expect Beichuan to help Hoya out just a little bit, help him out, clear out this minion, because he's currently down 30 CS, even a kill.
He's got slicing maelstrom. They both don't have level 6. He'll try and get out with that stun. He's able to for just a moment. Beichuan flashing there.
Flash for flash, not too bad, but now this wave is going to be most likely frozen for the side of TT, and now they know that because Ala doesn't have that flash available. FoFo jumping in.
Taking that aggressive stance, a little bit of anxiety in between the walls, but does so nicely. And gets some damage actually back onto Ucal. Now we see Jiejie back to focusing on top side of the map. Should just be going for the clear.
I don't know, Mazel. I mean, this top side, it's just looking really sad for this Jax so far because this area is putting in so much work, and Beichuan not level 6 yet, and this is a result of Jiejie getting that lead early on, triple buffing the Sejuani, and you just need the follow-up from that ultimate as you are the Sejuani to kill Ala. Jiejie is going to get spotted by a ward though.
Will he?
Oh! No, he won't. He's so sneaky.
Yeah, he didn't want to go for the gate. A little bit of a tower action against Jax, maybe not giving Hoya an in back into this one. We do have Rift Herald spawning up on the board here, and with this priority in top side, you expect the EDG to utilize that. There's been no move from bottom side just yet, but I see a lot of vision set up for EDG around this mid lane to make sure they can kind of push and move where they need to.
Bowling is relatively even for the 2v2 so far, but Jiejie getting his hands onto the Herald as well. In the end, it is just the amount of lane parity that Ala generate in this Kennen vs Jax matchup, which allows Jiejie to get both the first dragon and now starting the Herald, where if this gets dropped top lane, Ala on this Kennen, we said that EDG, they don't have a front line, but how are you going to survive a Kennen that's just going to pop you when it comes to a flank?
Ala is so close to having slicing maelstrom. I think if he has it there, he kills Hoya, but Hoya trying to use these moments to get some poke back into Ala. There is the Rift Herald taken. Jiejie holding top side. Beichuan actually coming around to see if he can spot out the spider in the bushes. But Jiejie is already here. Beichuan, you have no way to know. And there's the cocoon that lands. Pretty tanky though. Beichuan should be able to get over. But Ala now has the slicing maelstrom. And they just pick out Beichuan. Who they going to give it to? It's Ala who gets a kill. And first blood for EDG.
We see Beichuan doing the exact same thing that we saw from game 1 in that first series, trying to dodge out the vision that could have been planted in the river, but you just jumped into 2 people from the side of EDG, even Meiko making his way up towards this Herald. I mean, there was no objective. I'm not too sure why Meiko was top lane. Maybe just for a tower dive onto Hoya or a kill onto this Jax. It works out in the end.
I like the attempt though. Beichuan just not able to utilize some of the vision that they had. Now in mid lane, Ucal having to burn that hill, getting dragged out. It should go down. FoFo gets the kill. Leave. Plenty to bot lane as well. There's nothing giving for TT here.
Meiko is just making all these illegal roams on the map, getting a kill mid lane. And Leaf doesn't die in a 1v2 situation with Xayah burns both sums and the ultimate. EDG playing this early game perfectly so far.
Counter strike coming through. Hoya popping the Grandmasters as now you get a little bit of damage back to. Let's have Slicey Maelstrom back up so he can get some poke back down. But I just want to go back. I saw Beichuan before we went into that kind of graphic. He was very frustrated. And I can understand, right? You think you have a little bit of vision, you think you have a little bit of fun, you aren't able to pull it off. We'll see exactly that clash down there in your bottom right. Huge stuff from Leave as well. But I love that TT are trying, right? They're pushing the buttons of EDG as much as possible. And now they're visiting back this top side as Jiejie is coming up here as a firefighter trying to save the day.
Well, it doesn't have that
I don't know if they can do this. This is a big combo. They can't. The cocoon lands, and there's so much CC. They do get one back, but Hoya so low. I don't know if he's getting out of this one alive as the Spider's Fang still a hit. He does have the leap strike in there. He's out of there. Meiko is on one of those roams. He did get almost caught, but actually not going to capitalize is TT. They do get one back. Is FoFo going on the Ucal.
You see Beichuan still trying to get Hoya back into the game. Now with 30 CS differential as the Herald is going to get dropped in for this Tristana mid, but all TT has to do is not bleed immensely in this early game outside of the Jax where he is struggling in this matchup. To be honest, the bottom side of TT, other than Ucal getting gamed from Meiko, was doing pretty good, but Hoya and the amount of gold difference from this top and jungle is getting a little bit too big, Mazel.
Yeah, it really is. It's starting to grow even further, that 30 CS lead, but also those 3 plates just going over to FoFo right there. I do wonder if the EDG just kind of turned the tempo up here. They have so much strength around this mid lane now. They could go for a second dragon. They could try to get some more of this stacking going. Beichuan looking for something. That has been his moniker so far in this game, but they've not found as much as maybe they were looking for.
I'm really scared. I see the soul foods for both the top laner and the jungle of EDG. And I just already know that someone's going to get popped in the team fight later on in this game. But the second dragon also going to hands of EDG. They are playing around these objectives perfectly as they just have so much lane control on both sides of the map. And how many objectives can you give over as a side of TT until you start contesting with the Veigar cage, with the Sejuani, or even Xayah with that follow-up?
Backs having coming through for EDG, at least Leave actually sticking around. But I love that Beichuan was actually trying to look for something bot lane for a change. We'll be getting item spikes here though, kidding, as we have the Berserker's Greaves and the Gale Force completed for Huanfeng. That Roa for Ucal starting to stack up there, as we'll see if Leave is able to also complete his on the way back. And it does look like that Gale Force is there for Leave.
Meiko's back top lane.
Mako's just walking around making sure everybody's okay, all right? He's got his travel bag and he's just, having a good time.
Yeah, most definitely. Meiko just getting so much done on the map as an enchanter, even more than the Rakan, if I must say so myself. I think if Xayah isn't going to pull off a successful 1v2 gank in the bottom lane, Relief is going to have that cleanse available very soon. I think he should start synergizing with the Sejuani and get stuff done with your jungler.
Isn't
see too much success.
Isn't Renata's whole thing about being like a potion seller or something like that? I know the ability's loyalty program or whatever. That's like all about like business deals, trades. Maybe he's just making sure that everybody's checking in on their loyalty program. All right, all the EDG members are subscribing here.
Yeah, we can definitely see Meiko.
That went out on a limb for that one, but
Yeah, Meiko is just trying to generate some stonks in terms of business, but this top lane tower, half HP already. I believe Ala picked up 2 plates by himself, and of course the mid lane picked up 3 plates in the solo lanes. Beichuan really struggling to find any angles onto the enemy team, where I think with these objectives also going to the hands of EDG, you are just bleeding a little bit too much, and we see an obvious gap in terms of the proactiveness between the 2 junglers.
He wanted that one. He thought about it for a second. He had the slicing Maelstrom available.
For this?
Yeah, I mean, you get the tower for it.
Oh, he's not playing around.
The back does not complete fast enough.
He's speed running these tower macros. Jesus Christ. I mean, Herald is online now.
40 CS, an entire turret as well, first tower of the game. TT just looking for scraps at this point, but it is a nice scrap. It's a purple one. It's a rift Beichuan.
Too bad because Ala doesn't have that TP to come back, but the Protobell now picked up for this Kennen.
It's got the Hex
and
gates
also
though.
having the flash available. I don't think it's going to be a contest because we have both laners staying in this bottom side as Hoya once again struggling to protect anything when it does come to a tower. He's just getting shut down so well from the side of EDG so far.
Hoya realizes there's trouble, but beautiful connect. Not able to follow it up. It is still a Jax. But EDG flexing a little bit on the bottom side, not able to get the tower in the end. Rift Herald is popped top side. Ucal should get this gold.
It does seem like EDG isn't going to defend this as the bottom tier 1 has been picked up by Leave, as we'll have the Aphelios rotating towards that mid lane, and your next focus is definitely going to be the mid tier 1. But if your map is completely open, how are you going to face check into a Kennen and Elise? It's going to be a nightmare for the side of TT. And with this dragon spawning in 1 minute, they don't have control of this bottom side jungle.
All right. Shelly gets a second charge. Not too shabby there. We get a little bit of something. We did get full item completions, obviously, beside Meiko for EDG. Looking at that Night Harvester for Jiejie. A lot of strength coming out in this poke with the Kraken Slayer there as well for FoFo. So now that we see leaving Meiko in the mid lane, grabbing him actually connects there. Beichuan looking, but EDG collapsing. Luckily, TT have a decent amount of movement speed. Trying to get in there, trying to put the baby cage down. Is able to catch Meiko in it, at least in the center. That's not how the baby cage works, and we'll see a little bit of poke going back and forth. TT actually able to get some damage down.
Mazel, I feel like TT is just struggling to pull the trigger. All he had to do is just throw out that Sejuani ultimate onto Jiejie, flash ult where he isn't able to react to it, and that is a critical use. But we don't see too much proactiveness or aggression just quite yet, but this next dragon is going to be complete bloodshed. Ala does have an angle at the back though.
Yeah, he's gone for the long con flank, and this is exactly what he's always looking for. See if TT can man mark him. That's the biggest conversation. Hoya has found him out. Should see that positioning not going to be to the advantage of Ala so far. And we'll see if they go through with this. Ala should be looking for another flank on the other side, because maybe it won't work. Maybe Hoya is going to take the Hex Gate, though. This might be a little trouble. Meiko. There's Ala getting a lot of damage onto Hoya himself. The event horizon has been used. Jiejie gonna repel. Hoya jumps back over the wall, and man, do we have just a standstill here. Ala just jumping between the Hex Gates over and over again. Trying to figure out what side works. Oh, Meiko, there's the hostile takeover ready to go. There it comes over the wall. It only connects on the 2. They go for the dragon. It is secured by Jiejie. And that's what they came for, so they should be able to get out of this one. There goes Xayah with a double engage. Double counter strike. As they're trying to get the backline, they don't have any more damage. Jiejie gets out of the flash, and Ala comes through clutch, but the Feather Storm is able to get the kill for Huanfeng. And you got such heavy trades. The dragon secured, but it's 1-for-1.
It's 1-for-1, and it's sole point for EDG now. They will gladly take that trade as they don't lose anything else. I mean, Ala didn't even have a bounty, but TT had to burn so many flashes to make that engage work, and they were just waiting for such a long time where Renata ends up being the one to engage the fight, and they just finished off this dragon with no problem at all. My eyes were just on Ala this entire time, but Rakan and Hoya also finding a really nice choke onto the side of EDG, which does get them one kill, but it is just not a kill, but does force them back out of the fight where Ala did get chunked, and before he got chunked, he did put out a bit of damage as well. 1-for-1 in the very end, not going to be too much of a difference as the gold lead is still 3k.
Some of the tankiness for TT actually really coming online here. I'm actually really survived for so long. The Evan Shroud. Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference. It's a big difference. But I do like the Evan Shroud coming through from Beichuan, but especially some of that tanky buildup we're seeing from them maybe work out against this here. The biggest conversation now is, though, EDG are on a timer to put themselves at a Hextech Soul, which is huge for their composition first and foremost, but then it sets the tempo for an Elder Dragon, for another Baron, things like that. So very difficult position for TT to be in, especially when they're almost gold behind.
And that third dragon in particular just demonstrated how well EDG plays with this space and time.
No! Cleanses.
Double songs.
And flash.
my god. Well, TT, all they have to do is just pull the trigger because you have so much CC available to be stacked onto each other. But with EDG playing with their space and the double ADC composition, they're able to find angles, and that's really suffocating the side of TT as they're losing complete map control in all tier 1 towers.
Pretty big minion push actually coming through here for EDG on the bottom side. Don't have really the damage to take down the tower just yet. 4 members strong from TT in defense. There's the hostile takeover and Moonlight Vigil onto them as the Glacial Prison does go through. Nice big engage, re-engage at least from Ala, and there was no damage that Xayah could take, but he took it straight to the face. And it should be actually the split lane focus. That's a tier 2 in mid lane. This should be a tier 2 bot side. And EDG just respond to TT's over aggression.
Yeah, TT trying their dear life to force something happening with that numbers advantage in the bottom lane. But it ends up Xayah trying for a 1-for-0 and FoFo also getting that tier 2 tower as is Tristana. And we see Tristana at least finally working for tonight as they are just taking all the towers down one by one. Now Baron available as well. Double cracking, well, one cracking slayer and also a Gale Force is gonna be very
Meiko's so good.
Oh my god, Meiko just gets a 3-man hostile takeover and Lee doesn't get anything thrown onto him.
Oh, the handshake. Oh, Meiko, you're so good, brother. Oh my god. Well, we know a big difference maker in this series so far. It's been Meiko on the Renata. Really impressive stuff from a couple of those big handshakes, but specifically those hostile takeovers. And that is the power we've seen really rise to providence for Renata picks here in the LPL. I think it's been a really nice response to setups like this from TT. But you see TT, they're efficient. They're looking as they feel like a second item spike for Ucal maybe does them wonders, maybe finds them something back into this game.
Trying to play with their vision and look for a pick before EDG regains that control towards Baron. But without your towers, I mean, this composition, when it does come to the mid priority, is going to be very scary to face off. But hopefully Hoya, oh my god, the ult goes wide as well.
It does.
Oh, that's your Sejuani.
Oh, that FoFo was looking for it. I thought he was going to go for something a little bit crazy, a little bit wonky. But we do have that dragon fight in 30 seconds, so TT need to find a setup. They need to find some vision. They need to man mark Ala. They need to find a way in.
But TT plays all their wards towards the Baron pit. So are they really going to be able to walk in?
Ucal.
As that 5-man unit flashes from Ucal. Oh my god, Mazel. This is looking like a suffocation from EDG.
They're just getting all the tools out ahead of time. Leave able to cleanse out of that one. Now they're going to move towards this vision-controlled area of Dragon here for EDG. And again, this is Soul. Can TT make a cross-map play onto the Baron?
Ala has that TP available, and they do have wards spotting out TT starting this. So EDG definitely not going to give this for free. They are going to give up the Hextech Soul.
Oh, they're gunning it over here. TP on the other side from Ala. TT know they need to get out of this one. They were setting up in the jaws of EDG. It will be a delay on that Soul, though. So maybe TT can get back and do something. Ucal taking a brunt of damage from Jiejie. Trying to catch somebody out in transition. But back to the bottom side, back to this Dragon Pit, and back to all of the vision mines that EDG have set up.
That was honestly a really good Baron dance from TT. They knew that all they wanted was a Kennen TP, and they backed off straight away. But EDG having first move to Dragon doesn't mean too good.
Oh,
didn't steal
Beichuan, it can't get it. It is secured by FoFo. Moonlight Vigil with the Calibrum help set up for leave. And everything going the way of EDG. Now they can force the play onto Baron if they want to.
This is a very sad day to be a piggy, as none of the objectives in the hands of TT. Also, 4 dragons, meaning the Hextech Soul now in the hands of Leave, and a Tristana for FoFo in this game 1. This means they are going to create so much space between them and the carries of the enemy team.
Actually, brought a little bit of firepower to the fight for TT. Hoya wants to try to find Leave on the back end. Not able to find it though. Bounty's still up for TT. Maybe they're looking for a little bit of something, but not gonna find it just yet. Baron empowered recalls bring EDG back onto the map with a gigantic gold lead, just about 9,000, a little bit less so. And really, really good stuff in this game number 1 from EDG, where again, we had set up, they need to win 2-0 here to secure second place in the LPL regular season.
Mazel, if my memory doesn't trick me, I believe I saw Beichuan miss smiting and getting it onto the enemy. It was onto Elise, and he missed it by a Tristana order, and he flashes over with the cocoon connected. He's just gonna die. I mean, Beichuan having a really tough time in this game 1. Hopefully get to see a turnaround in terms of his performance, because he also went for the even try. I mean, he is just playing full utility Sejuani at this point.
He is indeed, and just trying to get going, right? We've already seen the frustrations. Obviously, TT in a position for playoffs. They want to finish strong here. They still have another series as well after this one, but imagine being able to say you took down EDG, you stopped their securing of the second seed for one little bit and giving them a little bit of promise here. It's not going that way just yet for game number 1. EDG pushing down this top side with full force as this Baron buff for another minute and a half should make this easy doing.
10k goal lead for the side of EDG. They're looking at the inhib now. But I'm just trying to figure out how is TT going to engage, because you have Jiejie who has the Banshees, you have FoFo that can buffer your CC, and you have Leave that is quite literally unengageable with the ways that he's been piloting with this cleanse. He doesn't even need to burn the flash to do that.
It's been really impressive the way he's used his summon spells, but also his positioning. I think that's the biggest thing, right? This guy, Leave, he stepped up into the position of one of the best ADCs in the world in Viper. Right, Viper going off to LCK, leaving a void in the LPL, but especially EDG. And Leave has stepped up to the plate and has done incredibly so alongside Meiko. We'll see if he can be this kind of securing factor for EDG. There's that hostile takeover back. It connects as well. Moonlight Vigil blocked by Hoya. That was actually so huge. But EDG still on the siege for 30 seconds of this Baron buff.
That's cleanse from Huanfeng, also the flash from the Veigar. Perhaps the Veigar could look for a TP from that ward in the back and look for a flank, as you don't win front to back anymore.
See if they can win anything at this point. That inhib tower falls very quickly. Leave on the outer edge of the team. Maybe something to play around for Beichuan, but not there. And EDG should get a reset here now as well.
You're just giving everything over to the side of EDG. 2 inhibitors, all the dragons, all the heralds, and also a Baron. I mean, I don't see TT ever challenging the side of EDG. Perhaps this is like a morale thing or a mentality where you are playing too scared, and that's never good when you're going into a competition, because this is the result. 9k gold lead, and they're just gonna go push bot lane and pretty much end the game by 30 minutes.
A lot of that gold lead is on Ala. And again, TT kind of baited themselves into this one. This might be their moment for shining, though, and Jiejie gets caught out. Big pick for TT. No objectives on the board, but maybe they can get this outer tower and mid bounties.
A kill and a tower, but is it going to be enough? Go BM! I don't know, Mazel.
Cope.
Looking really tough as the Baron, Elder Dragon is going to be spawning in 1 minute and 40 seconds. I mean, EDG can realistically stall the game until then, because you have
they got 3 idle spikes now, so
yeah.
easy.
2 super wave minions going from top and middle, pushing in, and Hoya just clear it? I don't know.
We'll see if he can indeed. And I think really for EDG, obviously this is a really strong showing for them in game number 1. It's been a little bit more reserved, even though you felt the strength of EDG through control on the map. It hasn't been extremely bloody. And that, I feel like, is even more terrifying against EDG, where they don't have to be all flashy and crazy. They just know how to execute. And for a long time, that was the moniker of EDG. And it's really interesting to see how they've evolved to the meta that we've had, but especially with their new pieces here as well. But tried and true, they're going to be pushing up into the enemy jungle, setting up for this Elder Dragon. 40 seconds.
I mean, Ala has the TP available. Also Flash, where Huanfeng burning the cleanse from earlier to protect that mid lane inhib. It's going to be very hard to escape as a Xayah, as you have to use that ultimate perfectly. But like you said, this game isn't too bloody in terms of the kills, but the macro from EDG was so perfect from start to finish, where it doesn't mean team fighting equals wins. As long as you play towards your strength and get all those major objectives, it's still a game of League of Legends. You don't need to win through kills because you still generate gold from something else.
And I never typically look at it unless it really stands out to me, but man, the vision control for EDG has really stood out to me, obviously. A lot of control done because of the strength they've had between the bot and the mid, but this is set up so beautifully for this Elder Dragon. They are burning. Can Beichuan make a second attempt happen? Can he find the miracle steal? We get the TPs coming in now. The engage goes through. Ala on the other side. Hostile takeover separating it. The Dragon does reset. Look how much health that thing just got back. Ala going for the long-term flank, but he should not be spotted. He doesn't get spotted. Oh, he does finally in the end. Hoya's on the other side, though. Hoya tries to go for another engage. He does find it. He didn't get Meiko, but the cleanse from Leave gets him out of there. He's trying to put the damage. That Gale Force was huge. And 2 kills to FoFo. The double marksman comp working out. And here comes the gold bag from Allah, as he is the one that has a huge gold differential against TT. And now he's going in here. Leave has found himself on the other side of the map, as the base is burning here. Elder Dragon falling to EDG.
I mean, that was a really good engage from the Jax. That is probably the best scenario you'll ever get. But that was a 4v5. All of this Kennen was just not in the fight at all. Man was sitting at Raptor Camp, taking the Hex Gate, going over. But by then, the fight was pretty much over. But with this tower also going down for the side of TT, they're just going to get both Baron and Elder now.
They should get double buffs, and this should signal a final push for EDG. Well, it's still down to execution. That big pick from Hoya gave a little glimmer of hope. It's still a 12,000 gold deficit for TT, and Allah just not able to get in. That was a really nice heads-up play from TT to try to get something going.
Yeah, but once again, Hoya getting a really nice flash E onto the enemy team. Stunning around 3 is probably the most ideal engage that you ever get. And also Huanfeng getting a huge root onto the ADC and also the Elise of EDG. But it wasn't enough because it was a 4v5 at the very end. But you don't get any of these objectives. Hextech Soul, Elder Dragon, Baron, what do you do?
And it gets worse and worse. Now you got 4th items for FoFo, for Leave, and they can just push in this bottom side, take out the inhib, and move to the rest of the base now, as they still do have their buffs up. At least Allah, Leave, FoFo, Jiejie. They all have big term Elder Dragon buffs for another minute and 10 seconds.
Flashes.
You gotta be a little bit careful. Allah wants to be involved now. He wants to get going, as Hoya's trying to find those bounties for TT on the middle lane. They gotta be careful not to lose their last inhib down here.
I mean, Allah can just pull the trigger and flash onto TT, as EDG, they're pushing in this wave. Hoya doesn't have the TP available, so he's just gonna pray that they're going to be able to hold this off.
Oh, flashes come through. Hostile takeover will go wide in the end. The cocoon does work connection. When that execution bar comes up on your screen, get a little bit more terrified. Engage actually hits on the Jiejie. There's a back completed for Hoya. The final defense from TT should come through. They can defend this siege. An inhib in mid lane goes down to EDG. Allah, he goes for that flash play, and the wings of the Elder Dragon will pop the face of TT 1 by 1. It's an ace for EDG and game 1 victory.
The perfect game from EDG, and now they're only 1 game away from securing 2nd place in the playoffs. Amazing showing from Allah on this Kennen.
Really impressive stuff. When you give him one of his best champions, he will shine on it. So many highlight reels throughout the history of recent LPL have been filled with Allah's Kennens, and finds it yet again. So much strength in the 1v1 that led to so much strength in those team fights, but it was a lot of that cohesion in that trio, specifically looking at Jiejie, FoFo, Meiko, and a little bit of that give back from Leave playing in his own 1v2 in the bottom side really set them up for success.
I think everyone on EDG played their role perfectly, where Leave, he wasn't dying to the Rakan engages at all. He just had to burn the cleanse once, and that was the only threat from the bottom lane of TT. And then Allah getting so much CS lead. And in terms of gold, I mean, this Kennen was going to get out of control when you do reach those 3 items territory. And of course, Jiejie on this Elise, we see it doing a lot of work. I mean, putting in a lot of work when it does come to those major objectives where 4 dragons without a single going over towards TT.
Man. 4 dragons plus the Elder Dragon plus the Bears. What more could you ask for? And I think EDG are at their prime when they have control around the map, and it looks so damn good. And that's where some of that kind of growth throughout the season, where you saw some of the lacking, into that 7-win streak where they look so darn good. And you have these moments of brightness that mean that when they go into playoffs, they will be a hard team to pick apart in a best of 5. And I think TT are going to need to find a way to pick them apart in a best of 3 first and foremost.
Yeah, most definitely, because TT is still sitting in that 8th position, very close towards the bottom, so you can still fight for a better one. But against EDG, I think from this game 1 showing, the draft wasn't looking too promising in my opinion, because it was very hard to execute, but EDG just did it perfectly. They got so much lead in the early game, and it was pretty hard to come back from then. And on the other hand, I think TT, it had a very standard draft. It was very easy to execute when it comes to engaging these team fights, but they just never did it. I feel like Ucal on something like the Veigar, he just didn't really feel as aggressive as usual, and TT really depend on both Huanfeng and Ucal going forward.
Yeah, again, Ucal has been carrying so much with this team, with TT, and to see him on the Veigar, a little bit of that late game scaling, trying to be there, but it just wasn't enough. And in time, right, when EDG take this kind of draft, you aren't able to play to those win conditions, and I think it showed through really well. And again, EDG using the tempo of the game very, very well, right? 33.5 minutes in, multiple Barons, the Elder Dragon there for EDG, and they just knew when to pick it up.
Yeah, this entire game was just in the hands of Jiejie on this Elise, where Elise, it's a hit or miss champion. You either do amazing in the early game or you just flop when it comes to the late. And I think TT, they were just praying that they play off EDG's mistakes, as Jiejie did end up getting caught, but by then the gold lead was way too huge to ever close, and you needed like 20 more solo kills onto Jiejie. But hopefully for this game too, we're gonna have a huge turnaround for draft.
We'll see if TT can play spoilers at the 2nd place want from EDG. We'll be back after a short little break, and we'll see what happens.